There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Tonight, we've got an interesting way to kick off the show. I know many of you are interested in the different programs and projects that I'm a part of, and you've all been fantastic in the way that you help support me and those projects. And I'm very excited to be associated with a project I think is on the precipice of blowing up into something really major and a lot of fun. Joining me on the line right now is the executive producer for The Dark Zone, and his name is Jay Bluemke. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, this has been a long time coming. Slow build, getting all the right players in place, getting all the right content in place, but something big is on the horizon. I know you've got new updates and web stuff happening. Why don't you give us a little bit of background on what it is that you and your partner have created?
Well, okay, so my partner and I, Scott Perlman and myself, and we have a third partner, who is Kathleen Burns. We have... we're television producers, and we've worked with a lot of paranormal investigators over the years. And we do it and have done it because we have the same kind of quest, in the back of our minds, which is what is happening? What is out there? We have questions that we want answered too. I've had an interest in the paranormal since I was a 12-year-old kid reading magazines on strange stuff, mysteries. So, as I became a television producer, worked in the industry, that's kind of how I've guided my, interests.
Now,
so,
you've had this interest, Jay, but have you actually had any paranormal experiences yourself growing up?
Not growing up. But, when I was producing and directing Ghost Hunters, there were a couple interesting things happen that I could not explain. Because I always try to, I guess I'm more of a skeptic at heart, and I would love to believe in the possibility and the potential of there being something else out there. But I need evidence, that's that's how I approach it. So when you can't explain something, then, either you're not thinking about it properly or there's something going on.
And that's what really attracted me to work with you and Scott, is the fact that you guys have this skeptical nature and you want to find out what's going on. You want to deliver people who are willing to investigate these claims, look at all of the different possible phenomena and sort it out. Is this real? Is this imaginary? And you've got quite a good eclectic group of people that you brought together. The Dark Zone, first of all, if people are interested, how can they find it? What's going on with it?
So, all right. So we did a soft launch of The Dark Zone at thedarkzone.tv online. So it's www.thedarkzone.tv. But we also have a decent presence on Facebook because it's our belief that, there's quite a paranormal audience on Facebook. So you can see a lot of our kind of daily little things that we put up. We kind of curate other paranormal stories. And then when we have original content, we put it up and we put it on the website. So generally on Facebook, you'll get a good sense of, what we have going on, and you can get links to, the website as well. But the website's got the new content up there right now.
All right, and talk to me about the new content. This is pretty exciting. Susan Slaughter, who's been a paranormal investigator and has been featured on Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International, she's working with you on a new program called Hipster Haunts.
Yeah, what we wanted to do with The Dark Zone was, a lot of times paranormal investigators, they get onto shows and they're kind of forced into a role which is not necessarily who they are and how they investigate, right? Like, when you're an independent investigator, like she's always been most of her life, and you're kind of put onto a team, you're often forced into a position where they need you to, do something that they're not doing. So, I've always said to you guys, all of you guys, let's do this in a way that allows you to investigate the way you want to investigate, do the things that you want to do. And this is really her idea for the most part. She came to us and said, if I was to do content, this is what it would be. And I want to go and interview all my friends in my neighborhood because they have stories. And I want to hear their paranormal stories. And I want to bring them to the audience.
And that's kind of the best way, right? I mean, all of us that are fascinated by the paranormal, whether we're watching the different TV shows, listening to radio programs, enjoying movies about the paranormal, we all have this kind of core group of people in our lives who we can talk to about this. And sometimes they have the most fascinating experiences and know of some of the most unbelievable locations that would have otherwise flown under the wire.
Right. And she's, for several years now, been hanging out in Hollywood with a hipster kind of crowd, as she puts it. And, there's a lot of musicians, a lot of actors that she hangs out with, a lot of artists, a lot of people that are into, collecting antiques and so forth. And they have their own paranormal stories. So she's going to start presenting those stories. And that's why she wanted to call it Hipster Haunts. Because it's, as far, from her perspective, it's kind of like, I want to investigate the paranormal with the cool kids in the room. And she considers the hipsters the cool kids.
Very cool. So even if you're not in the hipster variety, this is a great opportunity, folks, to open up and look at a different side of the paranormal from a different perspective. People that we don't always get to see, well, we never get to see represented on TV. And that's kind of a neat aspect of what you're doing with the Dark Zone as well, is you've taken people from the TV show Ghost Mine. You've got Patrick Doyle. You've got Kristen Luman that's a part of it. Jay Verberg that are going to be on, all kind of presenting different aspects, not working together as Ghost Mine, but their own independent projects that they're bringing to the table.
Exactly.
You've also got, walk us through the lineup of everybody that's involved in this program.
Well, of course, Dave, there's you.
Hey, I know that guy.
You are working with us. We have, like you said, we have Carl. He was Carl Pfeiffer. He was the season 1 winner of Ghost Hunters Academy, and for a long time he was the in-house paranormal investigation unit over at the Stanley Hotel. We have Susan, who was the co-winner. Susan Slaughter, who was the co-winner of season 1 of Ghost Hunters Academy. And she did quite a run on Ghost Hunters International. And then we have Patrick Doyle, Kristen Luman, and Jay Verberg, all from Ghost Mine. And, when we all sat down and talked about this, the whole idea was we love the paranormal. We love to bring content together and tell stories about the paranormal. And we want to do it with good people, We want to do it with good people who have their heads on their shoulders properly. And, they are just as dedicated to looking for the answers as we are.
So talk to us a little bit about what kind of content people can expect to see on the Dark Zone.
So currently we've got some video blog stuff from Kristen, where she's approaching the paranormal from not only a skeptic's perspective, but, a bit of a scientist. She's done a lot of studies. She does hypnotherapy. And she's studied the mind for years. And so she kind of approaches the paranormal as a question of, what does your mind have to do with it? Is your mind creating it or reacting to something in the environment that, gives you a paranormal experience? Or is it something tangible? Is there really something happening? So that's her quest.
Which is great, because every one of these paranormal shows you hear, the audience is always crying out for wanting a deeper look at the psychological aspects of the paranormal and what brings it on. Is this, does science automatically debunk the phenomena itself, or can science help bolster it with an understanding of consciousness, how the mind works, how the brain works? And that's a great aspect of this. And I like that she is, I've thought she was amazing from day one. She's very open to the ideas, but she thinks through the issues and looks at it from a scientific principle. And that's an awesome aspect to bring to it, because it's something that, let's be fair, is not represented on any paranormal shows in any depth. You might have an occasional guest that does the talking head moment for, 30 seconds, but that's it. This is going to give it a totally new perspective and feel. Right, exactly. And so she's got right now 3 little video blogs where she tackles, subjects, for example, the new house feel. You move into a new house and suddenly start hearing noises that you're not familiar with because you're not familiar with the house. Is the house haunted? Or are you, hearing things that are associated with this house that are perfectly normal? We don't know. She deals with what is the thing where you wake up in the middle of the night and
sleep paralysis?
You feel like there's something. Yes, she deals with sleep paralysis.
The old
She's got a whole thing
syndrome.
on that. Exactly. So she's taking her personal take on it. And then we have those. Patrick's got some blog stuff up there. You've got some stories on there where you've interviewed people and had them tell their ghost stories. We've got that up there. And Carl has, from his time, Carl Pfeiffer, from his time at the Stanley Hotel, he's got a little web series that we put up about a year ago that he produced himself and cut together, called Spirits of the Stanley. So that's up there as well. Now we're bringing Susan's original series, which is 5 episodes, and we're going to shoot some more. And it's really interesting. It's really fun. It's her style. It's what she does.
And you're also bringing all of the different players together on a few different projects in which we're going to be looking at evidence and things that have been purported to be haunted and take a look in a fresh perspective. And you're getting not just one person's thought, but you're going to get the entire cast's thought independently. I thought that was a great idea to interview us independently so that we're not felt swayed by what other people think or feel. We're given our true thoughts, understanding, and perspective on the type of evidence that people are presenting as real.
Right. We have a series coming up called Is It Real? And there are 3 episodes that we're going to probably launch on Halloween. So keep an eye out for that. We will make notifications on Facebook, on our Facebook page, and it'll go up on the Dark Zone website. And also, there's another platform that is going to be airing our content called Footprint.tv. And it's essentially what we call an MCN. It's a multi-channel network. And they have all kinds of programming on there, but we're the only paranormal that they have.
So that's Footprint.tv.
Exactly.
Or if they want to go directly to the Dark Zone website, how do they do that?
And that's thedarkzone.tv.
Now, folks, we're recording this aspect of the show just a few days before Halloween. So when you heard him mention that it'll be available Halloween, it's not Halloween 2018. It might already be available right now, so you can go check that. I know that there's just some little deals they're trying to piece together to make sure it's up and running by Tuesday this week, which is Halloween. So that should be up and available, and you can check it out for yourself. And I know you guys have got some great direction and ideas, and that you've been open to the way that each one of us want to look at and perceive the paranormal, and what do we think we can bring to this that will be educational but entertaining as hell, and really kind of a fun way to investigate the paranormal claims, from creatures to mysteries to ghosts and beyond.
And I think that's why, when you look at the darkzone.tv, on the face of it, it looks like it's, kind of a content platform. But the truth is, I think what it can become is, a community, a paranormal community where, there's so many ghost hunting groups out there who have evidence, theories, their own methods of doing things. And I think we can all share, and people can learn from each other and gain knowledge from each other. And we can kind of put little pieces of the puzzle together to kind of create the overall picture of what's going on out there in this country, in the world, in terms of the paranormal.
And the best part is, if people go sign up right now, they can get their subscription for only $99 a day. Is that right?
Oh, that would be awesome. No, the truth is,
it's $59, right? $59 a day. Obviously, when you're going to get this kind of content, Jay, there's got to be something behind it. So it's what, $50, maybe $40 at least, right?
Let's try free. It's free.
Free?
It is free, yes.
What have I signed on for, Jay? What have I signed on for?
We don't think, just as, and this is, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, yeah, we are giving people content, and the content that we will have up there at some point within, I don't know, maybe a year, will be pretty, like premium content. But for now, we're feeling like we don't think that we should be charging people for, things that they can see on TV or, get from other paranormal groups. We want it to be a community. We want everybody to come on board. We don't want to charge anyone. It should be free. So yeah, I mean, hopefully people will join us and see what we're all about.
Well, I'm excited to be a part of the program, and I know we've got a lot of things brewing that are going to be popping here during the next year. So folks, go sign up now. It's free to sign up. We must be crazy, but it's free. You can go check out thedarkzone.tv or footprint.tv. As a matter of fact, go to both, sign up, become members on both. It's free to be a part of it and to take advantage of the different content that will be available. I know I've got a couple of really great things coming up where I'm going to be sitting down and talking to people about their paranormal experiences. I'll videotape those, and those will be soon available on the website for you to continue to keep up with. So if you like what you hear on our show and people's personal encounters with the supernatural, I'll continue to deliver that. And we've got some other great programming and projects that are on the horizon here within the next couple of months that I think are really going to make people excited about the paranormal and give them a different flavor than what they're currently seeing.
Absolutely. That's the whole goal, is to give people something that they haven't seen yet from the perspective of the paranormal investigators themselves.
It sounds good to me. I'm a happy guy to be a part of this and looking forward to what the future holds for all of us. So do me a favor. We've got over 300,000 downloads of each one of our episodes. That's a lot of you that are definitely into the supernatural and the paranormal. Would you do me a favor? Help support our new program and the new item that I'm a part of with the Dark Zone. And you can do that by going to thedarkzone.tv. You can also find us on Facebook. You can follow the pages, and that's a great way to get on and see daily and regular content. We put together some of the stories that that we were able to cull from around the world that have to do with different aspects of the supernatural and paranormal. We give you a chance to sound off. And let us know, too. Here's something you can do. If you have paranormal experiences of your own that you think are chilling and want to have a chance to share that story, videotape yourself telling the story, and you can email me that, or you can Dropbox me or Google Drive me, whatever you want to call it, to dave@darknessradio.com. And I will help supply some of these videos over to the Dark Zone, so maybe your stories will be featured. And if you know of amazing locations that have yet to be featured on any television programs that you think deserve a look and have a great, rich, crazy history, we want to know about it. So let us know. And if you also have evidence, if you've collected photographic, video, audio evidence, and you'd like us to take a look at this, is it real or not? We want to know. So send it to me again at dave@darknessradio.com. dave@darknessradio.com. I'll shoot it over to the producers, give them a chance to review, and make sure you include your contact information and phone number so that they can reach out to you to get clearance to use these different aspects if we decide to go forward with that. Jay, I'm excited. This is a bright, bold new future for the paranormal.
I'm excited too, Dave, and thank you so much for being a part of it.
We'll talk to Susan Slaughter. I'll try to get her on the show in the next week or so to talk to her a little bit about the show, because it is fascinating. You guys are going to absolutely love it. And Susan is such a character and personality as it is. But then to get a chance to hear stories from the people she knows and the places she's been will give you a unique perspective into her life and her interest in the supernatural. Speaking of which, it's time to get into the show right now. What if I told you our guest lost his virginity to an extraterrestrial girl? David Huggins will be joining us. He's an alien abductee, he's an artist, and father to alien-human hybrids.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from
beyond the darkness.
All right, let's get to it now, folks. We're going to talk with David Huggins for the remainder of the show. He's a man who claims to have had a lifetime of encounters with otherworldly beings, including an interspecies romance, if you will, with an extraterrestrial woman. He's chronicled all of this in his surreal impressionist paintings, and he's very open about sharing his story. He's here with us this evening. Mr. Huggins, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Talk to me, if you would. Let's start a little bit before these alien encounters. What was your life like growing up? Were you open and was the paranormal something that had always been a part of your life, or was that something that never even really crossed your mind?
No, it never did cross my mind. No, it didn't. My experience was started when I was like 8 years old. If anything happened earlier, I don't remember.
At 8 years old. But now, you lived a pretty long natural life without remembering any of these instances, correct? I mean, how long had you gone before memories started being triggered?
Oh, let me see. I think it was after I had read a book by Whitney Strieber. And, no, it was Bud Hopkins.
Okay.
And he had a book, I think, called Intruders, and you have no idea what I was going through. I was very nervous and everything. I didn't know why. And I heard about him, so I went to a bookstore here in Hoboken. They didn't have it. Anyway, I'm walking back past another bookstore, which I had gone into earlier.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, if you weren't really that fascinated with the supernatural or the paranormal, why did you feel a call to get this book by Bud Hopkins to begin with?
I had read about him, and I don't know, it seemed strangely familiar to me.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, as I was walking past that bookstore, like I said, that I had gone into earlier, the owner came out and he says, "David, here, a woman left this book for you." And I said, "Who was she?" She says, "I don't know. It was just very strange." So anyway, he gave me the book, and I flipped it open, and there was a chapter in it called Other Women, Other Men. And there is a man under hypnosis who was saying that he had had sexual relationships with certain women. And I nearly fall down because I remember saying to myself, oh, my God, this is the woman I never told anyone about. And the main reason why I couldn't remember is that they made me forget everything until I got that book.
So you believe that they pushed you to that book?
I think so.
That you were directed to that.
Yes.
And about how old were you at this point?
Oh, let me see. Oh, I think I was in my 50s.
So that's a considerable amount of time to have gone without realizing that you'd been dealing with this. Would you have strange dreams or things that would pop into your mind that never seem to make sense?
Yes, I have. But they didn't really make sense, and I just dismissed them. It wasn't until I got that book that everything started falling into place. And
once you got that book and started to read through it, how quickly did you start to become filled with these memories?
Almost immediately. It was very weird. I just don't know how to explain it. But there was an incident in my life when I was in my 20s, and I was living here in New York. And how did it go? Let me think. Oh, yeah, I was working at a hardware store at that time, and it was called Manhattan Hardware. And I was putting stock on the shelf, and I turned, and there was this man and woman looking at me. I couldn't see them too well. Anyway, I went over to them, and I said, "May I help you?" And they didn't say a word to me. And I said it again, "May I help you?" And nothing. Then they abruptly left the hardware store. I didn't think too much of it. And so I went back to stocking the shelves. Now, at this time, there was the great transit strike of the early 60s. And it had started to rain, and there was no buses, no taxis, or anything like that. And anyway, I'm walking home. I get to Fifth Avenue and 72nd Street. And I said, "Oh, the heck with it." So anyway, I held out my thumb, and this big black car pulled up, and this woman comes over, rolls down the window, says, "Yes, where are you going?" I says, "Well, ma'am, if you'll just take me across Central Park, I can walk the rest of the way." And so I got into the car, and I had a feeling someone was in the back seat, though I didn't turn around. And so she drove me across Central Park, and she says, "Where do you live?" And I told her it was 87th Street. So she says, "Well, I'll take you." She drove me up there, and I got out of the car, and I said, "Well, thank you very much, miss. You know, you saved me for a really wet walking." But she didn't say anything to me. She just looked at me with these eyes of hers. And that was it. So anyway, that night, I did some meditation, and then I went to bed. And when I went to bed, I fell asleep, and then I had this weird dream of this woman's face. Her eyes were closed, and she was coming toward me. And that's all I remember of that incident. And, well, things continued that way, and there was something very odd in that when I would wake up in the morning, I would hear this voice say, "We'll be back tonight." Now, this goes on for months and months. And then one morning, I wake up, and I hear those words again, "We'll be back tonight." But this time, I did not forget the words. And I didn't know what to think. It was like, yes, the woman's real. No, she's not. It was only a dream. I was vacillating back and forth. I didn't know yes from no. Anyway, I made it down to school. I could barely do any work. And then that evening, I start walking home, and I pass a florist. And they had these flowers called pink cyclamens. Very beautiful flower. So anyway, I thought to myself, okay, I'll buy the flowers. If she's real, she'll take them. If not, I'll do a pastel or a drawing of it. Well, I went home, put the plant on the bookshelf, and I went to sleep. Don't remember a thing. I don't remember a thing. And then I got up, got dressed and everything. Now, you would think I would have remembered buying the plant, but I didn't. And so I got down to the Art Students League. I had a part-time job there. And around 12 o'clock, somebody came up to the gallery, and it was time for me to go to lunch. And anyway, I go have lunch, and I'm down on the first floor, and I walk to the back of the studios, and I pass Mario C. Cooper's watercolor class, and it was filled with flowers. And then wham, like it hit me like a ton of bricks. She took the flowers, I said to myself, over and over again. And anyway, I went home feeling a little better. And that night, I I took a shower, shaved and everything, and I knew that she was coming back that night. I knew it. And so what happened was, let me think. Oh, yeah, I changed my clothes 3 times. Blue jeans, a suit, casual wear, whatever.
Trying to figure out the right outfit to wear for this kind of meeting?
What?
You were trying to find the right outfit to wear for this kind of meeting?
Yeah.
Understandable.
Huh?
I said that's understandable.
Yeah. Anyway, it started getting later and later. And so anyway, I take off all my clothes, and I get into bed, and I leaning back against the wall, and I see a small opening on the far wall from my bed. It was only like maybe a couple of inches in diameter. Then it got bigger, and it paused for like a couple of seconds. It was about a foot in diameter, and suddenly everything was quiet. There was no sounds at all. There were no street sounds. There was nothing in the apartment. And then I leaned back feeling very, better. I mean, like I was just at ease. And then the opening opened up to about maybe 5 to 6 feet. First, the insect being came in. And then 2 of the little grays came in.
Now, when you say insect, can you explain to me what it looked like?
It reminded me of a praying mantis.
Okay. Now,
I'm not sure that it was.
Right, but it had that similarity to it. Explain it, though. Did it look like a bug-like creature? Did it glow? Was it blue? Was it green? Was it black? What did it look like?
It was dark in color. That's really all I can say about him. And there would be like a glow around his head. And he would stand in the farthest corner in my bedroom. And then the woman came over. I'm looking up at her. And she gets on top of me. And I reached my climax. And then, let me think.
So now you were brought aboard. You saw the mantis figure. You saw the little grays. Did they bring you into a separate room with her? Was she already waiting there for you? How did that all progress?
No, all 3 of them stayed there.
Oh, wow.
And I think, from what I could tell, is that the insect-like being kind of kept me under sedation to a certain extent. And like I said, she got on top of me. I reached my climax. And then I get up, and I go over to her. And she walks over to the opening. She doesn't say anything to me. But if I wanted to go through the opening, I could. And so I did. Now, what's very interesting is that next to the building that I was in, there were other buildings. And you would think if this opening was as large as it was, and I went through it, I would be in one of the other buildings. But that didn't happen. I was someplace else. I have no idea where it was. I think it was like, I don't know, underground or in some type of white room. And I was there. I think they gave me a physical examination. And then that was it. And so anyway, I went back through the opening.
Was there any kind of verbal communication or telepathic communication, like they were speaking in your head at any of this time?
I think it was telepathic.
So you would just kind of know things. It was more of a sense of knowing.
Yes.
Than it was of being told anything.
Right. And, well, that was it. And then the next evening, it happened again. It was strange. It was just very strange to me.
Well, yeah, that would be strange to anyone. Now you're put back, and this memory had been something that had been hidden from you for quite a while, right? Until this book,
yes.
And then all of a sudden this memory. Now, once this memory opens to you, and you start to experience these flashbacks, if you will, do they start making their presence known to you in current time?
Only after I had read the book. And I think I bought the book, 10 years ago, 15 perhaps, somewhere along in there.
That's crazy. Just the idea that this whole part of your life was kind of hidden. Do you feel robbed by that there was so much of what was going on in your world that you were kind of being held back from knowing and remembering?
I think there was a certain being held back. It's like, have you ever heard of the harmonic convergence?
Yes.
Okay, I had a dream, and it was that date, August 17th, 1987. And anyway, that happened, and then I started getting very, very nervous. I could barely sleep. I could barely eat until I got the book, and I started reading it. And I was with these beings, and one of the beings says, "Let David do paintings." So that's what I started doing. And it took me about 2 to 3 weeks to do the first painting because I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. But anyway, I went up to my studio, took a deep breath, and I started working on a painting. I must have worked on it for several hours. But that night, I got such a restful sleep. I just fell asleep, and that was it.
Now you said you remember back to around the age of 8, now that these memories have flooded back to you. Do you remember your first connection with the aliens?
Yes, I do. It was, all I can call him is a little hairy guy with large glowing eyes. I was behind our barn, digging at the base of a tree, digging at a rock at the base of a tree, and then I hear somebody say, "David, behind you." And I turn, and there's this little hairy guy coming right out of the woods straight toward me. And it was like for an instant, I was in his eyes looking out at me. And then suddenly I'm back in my body or whatever it was. And I get up and I run to the house. And I tell my mother, "Mama, there's something outside." out of the barn. She says, well, what was it? I says, I don't know. It was very hairy. She says, well, it must have been a horse or a cow or a bear, something like that. So quit making things up. So that was it.
And do you remember meeting this female extraterrestrial at any other points during your life, or was it just this first indoctrination when you lost your virginity to her?
I was 17. I was gone walking in the woods, which I enjoyed doing, and I get to a rather shady spot, and there is a woman sitting on the ground. She gets up, comes over to me, and I'm trying to pull my pants down. And then she gets on top of me, and, I just reached my climax. It was very quick.
But did you feel like, that's not the way we live in real life. You don't just see a woman and suddenly drop your pants and you're having sex, David. That's, did you feel like she was leading you, telling you kind of what to do, how to do what was about to happen?
I think so, yes. I really believe that.
And did she, with this, I know this will sound like maybe a strange question, but was there a sense of love involved in this, or was it more along the lines of...
It was rather impersonal.
Okay, so it was more just for procreation. It was for collecting the seed, if you will.
Right.
All right. So you've mated with this being. What is the next move? I mean, I know there's talk of hybrids. Do you end up fathering a child with this woman?
Yes. I mean, there was a interesting thing where I was in my studio and the wall opened up, and the woman is very frantic. She's very upset. And she says, David, the baby's dying. And I say, baby? What baby? Your baby, but it's dying. And I asked her, well, let me see my baby. And she said she wouldn't let me see it at first. I think the third time I yelled it out, let me see my baby, and she held the baby up, and it was just dangling in her hands. And I remember saying, no, don't hold the baby like that. Cradle the baby in your arms. And then I say, listen, I've got to come there. And she says, no, it's not allowed. And I say, oh, yeah? Well, watch this. And I go and I lay down on my bed, and I instantly pass out. And the next thing I know, I am there, wherever this there is. And I see 3 of the insect beings. One of them comes over to me, and he says, what are you doing here? And I says, I want my baby. My baby's dying. I want to see my baby. And he says, no. Now, I could have moved the Rock of Gibraltar easier than get him to change his mind. Anyway, I just kind of was rather bewildered, not knowing what to do. And then I bent one knee, and I bent the other, and I got down on my hands and knees, and I begged him to let me see the baby. And I guess everybody seemed rather surprised by my actions, but he agreed, and then I went over to a woman. She was sitting down, and she was holding the baby like I had said. And then I looked at the baby, and I reached over, and I touched the baby's arm. And like static electricity jumped from my hand to the baby. And I remember saying, wow, did you see that? Let me do that again. I did it. Same result. And then the insect being just looks at me, and he says, just looks at me, and I know to follow him. And he takes me into another room, and it is filled with babies. And I'm looking around, and I'm saying, whose babies are these? And he points to me. I nearly fall down. And I was there for one reason, to touch them. And that's what I did. And
Was there, so they give you this insight to the fact that you're the father of these children.
Right.
Do you remember what that impact felt like to you, David? I mean, that's something, I've got 8 kids. Trust me, I know what it's like to realize you're going to be a dad, but all of a sudden to realize you've kind of helped to begin repopulation with a new breed of life. What is that like?
I never really thought of it like that. I mean, their body temperature or their body condition could be damaged in some way. I have no idea.
But what was it like to realize you had fathered all of these beings?
I was very shocked.
And were they all of the same age? Was it like a breeding colony, like just incubator after incubator kind of look of, all of these babies? And how many were there in total?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. All I know is that I went around touching all the babies. And then... did they look human? Did they look alien? Did they look human or did they look alien? Both. They looked like human and alien. I have a feeling that you saw one coming down the street in New York or wherever, you couldn't tell them a difference between them being not human.
Here's what may sound like a strange question. Was there anything defining about the eyes? We're hearing reports of these beings known as the black-eyed children, and there's a lot of hypothesis that they are alien-human hybrids. Their entire eyes are black. They look very human otherwise, except for the entire eye. There's no whites. There's nothing. It's just jet black. Do you have any recollection of that?
Actually, I do. I remember there was this one time when I was with a woman, and I went over to her and I looked into her eyes, and they were black. And the children had dark eyes also.
And when you say dark eyes, would you say the entire eye then was black? Or was it just the colorized part of it was black?
I think it was all black.
All right. And did they exude any kind of energy signature? Anything that, you were talking about harmonic convergence. Was there any kind of energy that they would put off individually? Off-putting or otherwise?
Not that I know of. No, I can't say that is true. You see, I still have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I would understand. That's got to be a quite a wake-up call. Did you ask why they chose you to participate in this breeding program?
Why anybody? I was just a kid growing up on a farm, and in my teens, I had the sexual relationship with her. But no.
Was it more than once that you would mate with her, or was it just that one time?
No, there were several times.
And were they always just that kind of clinical sperm collection, basically? Not a relationship, not a communication. It was just do what you need to do in order to give her what she needed?
I'm not sure about that, because there was one time when we had made love, and she was on top, and she laid down on top of me. Kind of scared me in a way. And I hear this purring like that of a cat. It was soft and melodic and very soothing.
But that was the extent of really kind of any affectionate connection?
Yes.
And how many times in total would you say that you were with her?
Oh, God, man. This went on for years.
And were you allowed to connect with the children? Were you allowed to see them again at other points in your life?
Oh, yes. I remember as children, I was with them, and we were going to play hide and seek. And I told them to go hide, and I'll see if I can find you. And I would say that the children were about maybe 6, 7, 8 years old, something or other like that. And so we played the game.
Did they recognize who you were? Did they realize you were Daddy?
Yes, they did. Yes.
Have they ever reached out to you as they've aged to continue communication, the children that you've created?
Well, I don't know. I can't say that they actually did. I know they told me about doing the paintings, which I had already started, but that was about it.
All right, we're back, and our guest, David Huggins, we're talking with him. Love and Saucers is a documentary that was filmed about your life. How do you feel bringing this part of your life and experiences to such a public viewing? Are you afraid of the flashback and response from audiences? And you know there's going to be quite a large skeptical side to this whole deal.
Oh, that's okay. I don't mind. I mean, you see, there's one thing I know. I know I cannot prove a word I'm saying. And I leave it at that. There's just no way I can prove it that this happened.
And is that frustrating to you? I mean, to have had these kind of experiences and know that they're not something that you can tangibly roll out and prove to. It's not like you can introduce us to your alien children or your alien mate. Is that, what's that like? I mean, I've got to assume that would almost drive me mad.
Well, it didn't drive me mad. I mean, it's frustrating at times. I think the last time I had an experience with them was when one of my paintings had gotten damaged. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was retouching the painting. And I was thinking to myself, do they use these little gray bodies anymore? Yeah, I call the painting the packaged alien. And I finished fixing the painting, and that night I go to sleep, and 3 beings, which look so human, and one of them came over to me and he says, "David, we have new bodies now," which I thought was a very curious thing to say.
Right. And did they explain what they meant by that?
Nope, I just knew that they had new bodies. They didn't explain it.
I would say that would be, that would be very crazy to hear. They've got new bodies. Does that mean they've integrated? Are they among the people on our planet, or are they still on their planet or plane of existence?
Oh, I'm quite sure they have been here for a long, long time. We just didn't recognize them.
Are they bringing any messages of hope, of change? What is the whole purpose for this? You would think if aliens were coming here to mate with us and create this hybridization process, there would be a reasoning behind it. Have they given you any kind of explanation? Is there an eco change or something that's going to happen on our planet that these new adaptable beings will kind of be the new front leaders? Or are they trying to repopulate their own planet and species to adapt and continue on?
I think they are interested in, having their own species. They don't say very much to me.
Do you ever tell them no when they come to gather you for these mating situations? Did you ever put your foot down and say enough's enough? No.
No, I never did.
And I don't mean to get too personal, but are you married?
Was married.
Okay. How did she respond to the fact that you were having interplanetary relations with a female of another race. Was that something that bothered her? Did she believe you? What all went on?
Yes, we had problems with our marriage. But I had mentioned it to her, and she says, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear this. So I never brought it up again.
And she just, as far as she was concerned, that was just ramblings and made no sense to her.
Right.
Did it end up costing you the marriage in the long run?
I think it did.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That kind of loss has got to be tragic, especially when you're doing nothing wrong other than existing and being visited by these beings. Have they continued? I mean, you said that you don't hear from them often, but one time was during a painting that had been damaged, and they kind of reached out to you. When is the last time you've spoken to what you believe to be an alien, a real alien?
I would say about, 6 months ago.
Okay. Oh, all of a sudden, I don't know if you've moved or what, but we're starting to get really bad reception here, unless your friends are visiting and causing some kind of disturbance there.
Not that I know of.
Weird.
What is it? Static electricity?
Yes, you've begun crackling and hissing and popping and,
I don't know.
Very strange.
My telephone.
All right, seems to have cleared up now. You know, this is interesting. There are times when we've spoken to people that are alien abductees where we've lost entire recordings. It's as though the interview never happened. The recording is wiped out. We'll start getting static interference like that. We've had, even on some of the ghost episodes, we've had some weird things occur like this. Interesting. Now, has opening up to this opened you up spiritually in other ways? Do you see or hear spirits or cryptid creatures or anything else? Or is it just the alien interaction that's been a part of your life?
It's just the alien action part of my life.
And can you tell me then, with that, you said that the last visitation was about 6 months ago.
Yes.
What was the reasoning behind that? Did they have something
Well, I was
new?
with the woman.
Okay.
And she puts her arms around me. And I think I was saying something, but I don't remember what it was. And so that was it. We didn't have sex or anything like that. But she put her arms around me and just hugged me.
And that was the extent. How long did the interaction occur?
Oh, I would say only a few minutes.
Have you developed at any point strange medical maladies that either appear suddenly or disappear just as suddenly?
No, I rarely, if ever, get sick.
That's pretty fascinating as well, don't you think?
Yes, it is.
And has that been an attribute of yours throughout your entire life?
Yes.
I wonder if that's why they've partially chosen you, is because of your ability to fend off disease and illness.
I guess I have no, I have no answer for that. If I see them again, I'll ask them.
Have you ever asked them to present to somebody else so that they know that they're, other people will know that this is going on? Or have they made themselves, even without your asking, have they made themselves visible to others?
Oh, I can't answer that. I just don't know.
Okay, but they've never specifically been around when you've met somebody or when you've been around other people?
No.
Do you ever see other humans when you're taken wherever it is that they take you? Do you see other people there?
Yes, I do.
And do you have
They
any?
look very human.
Do you have any interactions with them ever, or are you usually kept separate?
No, I mean, I talked to them, but I don't remember what was said. I'm going back years now.
Okay. Well, it's fascinating life you've led. Do you feel a kind of a cathartic release when you do your paintings? Is that a way for you to help process this?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was just, like I said, after I had done the first painting, I got a very good night's sleep. Nobody bothered me or anything. I just slept. Whereas before, 3 weeks before, I could barely sleep.
And so this was a healing motion. This is what they gifted you, this ability to release these thoughts and emotions and give you some peace.
Yes, that sounds quite right.
Well, David, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I mean, it's a unique opportunity, a unique blessing to see this. I know in closing, I'm curious, as I'm sure many of our listeners are, have they ever taken you off-world? Have you ever seen where they are from?
Well, when I was a kid, they came into my bedroom, took me outside, and we floated up to some type of vehicle. And we went inside, and it was very, very bright. And the woman was there, and I was there with the gray. And I was looking at the little gray guy, and I was looking at the woman, and I asked him if she was her mom. She was his mom. He just gave me a wink of a smile. And
are you there, David?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. You said gave you a wink and a smile, and then all of a sudden your audio dropped out again on us.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. He just gave me a quick smile. The woman found it rather humorous. She was holding some type of rod in her hand. And then she comes over to me, and the little gray guy holds me, and she thrusts something up my nose. I have no idea what it was. And I remember saying, "You hurt me, you hurt me." And she looks at me and says, "Look at me, and I'll make the pain go away." And she did.
But you have no recollection if she was putting something up there or taking something out?
No, she was putting something up there.
Oh, have you ever been x-rayed, or has anybody ever looked to see what was there?
No, I haven't.
Isn't that something that intrigues you, that aspect of the story, to find out what they've implanted inside you?
I've thought about it, but I've never done anything with it.
Well, if you do decide, and I know, what are you, 72 now? Is that the correct age?
74.
74, okay. Mm-hmm. If you ever do decide to have that checked, would you join us again to explain to us what was found?
Oh, sure will.
Well, I appreciate that, and please alert your friends when they come to visit if they are interested. You know, if they ever want to reach out to us on this show, we would be interested in hearing their story and keeping their anonymity safe so that they could tell us what's going on and why they are doing what they're doing. Do you believe that they're doing quite a large cataloging of reproduction with many different humans across the planet?
Oh, yes. I mean, I have a feeling there are millions of people, tens of millions of people who have had experiences which they cannot explain. And it was the way with me. I still can't explain it. I can talk about it, but I can't explain.
Well, I hope we can get some answers. That would be fascinating, and I'm being very very serious and sincere when I say, please, if you have interactions, let them know. We would love to hear their story one way or another, and you have my contact information. I'm sure they probably know how to do that. We'd love to continue this conversation. David Huggins, thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you for being a part of our world. We'll be back tomorrow with more of the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.